Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this Warcraft Rumble HEROIC campaign guide, I'm going to show you how to take down Lady Vespira. Lady Vespira is a difficult opponent, and actually this is the second heroic that I don't recommend going in untalented. I will show you an untalented kill, of course, but this is just so much easier if you have talents, so talents are highly recommended. Lady Vespira is going to shoot at you with lightning whenever you cross these stairs. So above here, then you're going to be hit by lightning. The closest mini is going to be hit by lightning until there is something in melee range. Once there's something in melee range, she's going to do a sweeping cleave attack, which doesn't hit everywhere. It just hits roughly around here or around there. So there are a couple of approaches you can take to this encounter. I see people trying to beat this with unbound spam. Although I don't like that strategy, I don't think that strategy is optimal. And then you can also try to get some big tanks in, and once you close the distance, she still hits like a truck, but at least it's less than the lightning attack, and you get to hit back because you're in close proximity. So once you get close in the gap, you get big tanks right up close and personal, then you are able to pile in and beat her. And that's basically the strategy that I'm proposing here. So this is the army that I use for Lady Vespira. I've used this with all families, I don't use the leader at all, so just going with these 6 minis and you're going to be fine. I have Abomination, I have Defias Bandits, I have Pyromancer, I have Safe Pilot, I have Frostwolf Shaman, and I have Quilboar. And the idea here is that I'm going to make armored abominations. Abomination is going to get armor from Frostwolf Shaman's Earth Shield, and then I have big hulky tanks. Abomination has more health than any other mini in this game, and most of the damage that comes from minis and also damage that comes from Vespira's attack, the tailspin attack, is physical damage, so armor is going to help with that. Only problem is that Abomination is going to be vulnerable to that lightning attack. But to make that better, I have Quilboar. Quilboar is going to be tanking some of the lightning damage. I use Quilboar to take a meeting stone. Quilboar will die eventually. By taking that meeting stone, I will also be able to get abominations there, alongside abominations coming from my base. And then those abominations, once an abomination reaches Lady, and Lady starts to fight against the abomination, it's all going to be extremely good, because at that point, there's no more lightning attacks, and you can start piling in other minis, you can start piling in more abominations, and you can start winning the game. Other than that, I have Safe Pilot. Safe Pilot is useful for hitting all sorts of targets. I have Defias Bandits for cycling, for taking some chests, also for stunning Stonehoof Torrents and stunning Ogre Mages. That stun is really, really valuable. They can defend a lot. Like, Defias Bandits and your base together can beat an Ogre Mage quite easily. So, just good defensive tool also, while most of your resources are focused on the attack. And I have Pyromancers. Pyromancer here is my main defense against gargoyles, and that's like the main weakness of the strategy, is that you really have to watch out for those gargoyles. Sometimes you have to take a start again, because gargoyle just manages to surprise you. I got a couple of one-shots with this, I got a couple of two-shots, and I think the worst was Undead. I needed 4 tries. The gargoyle spawn just wasn't exactly what I wanted, but you can also affect that, because gargoyle is never the first mini that Lady is going to play. So you can also experiment a little bit, okay, what do I play at the start so that I get the gargoyle where I want the gargoyle to be, or no gargoyle at the start at all if Lady doesn't have it in the opening hand. So just watching out for gargoyles is important. Well, now you may already notice one potential weakness with this strategy, which is that this relies on Abomination as a tank. And none of the Horde leaders can buff Abomination as a tank. Luckily my Abomination is big enough. It was 18 when I did this. I've gotten 1 level since. But my Abomination was big enough that I could do this with Horde. There is an alternative though. I'm also going to show you an untalented clear, where I don't use Abomination and the Shaman. Instead I use Molten Giant, which is already armored, and then I use Banshee. So Banshee is able to steal some of those gargoyles, take away a little bit of that pressure that the gargoyles bring, but at the expense that Molten Giant is a weaker tank and it's a little bit harder to get through with the Molten Giants. Anyway, I'm going to show you a bunch of clears with this comp, and clear also without talents, using Molten Giant and Banshee instead of the Armored Abomination. But as you can see, the Armored Abomination strat is just so much easier, and the easiest strategy for this particular encounter. And this is what it all looks like in action. So here we go, Heroic Lady Vespira with Blackrock. This is my second attempt. On my first attempt I somehow allowed a gargoyle to hit my base too much and then my base died. Yeah, remember to watch out for those gargoyles. Anyway, here I have a little bit of clunky opener. I would like to send my abomination with armor all the way to that tower, but I can't find an abomination. Now I finally find some stuff. I'm wondering, okay, how do I do this? Now I've positioned the Pyromancer in the back, and I managed to get armored on the abomination, and the gargoyle spawns right where I want it, and now Pyromancer can handle the gargoyle. In the meanwhile, though, there's an ogre mage together with a Stonehoof Tauren coming from the other side, which is obviously also pretty awkward. I need to get some defensive power over there. I managed to get just enough with safe pilot. And yeah, that should still be okay. Even though base takes some damage, it's nothing too much. And the armored abomination, just look at that hulking lump of flesh and steel. And yeah, it's rocking and rolling. Now I need something to respond to those. Maybe I don't actually. I do. I should have played the Pyromancer. It took unnecessary damage there. Pyromancer, killing those. Abomination still feeling extremely healthy, and then we make another. So armored abominations, that's the plan. We're going to use armored abominations and we're going to overwhelm Lady Vespira. However, now we're getting to the point, okay, well, the lightning attacks are going to start once we go up the stairs. What do we do about that? We do Quilboar. So now Quilboar is going to tank some of those lightning hits. As you can see, Quilboar is taking some of those hits. Maybe a little bit weak positioning there because Quilboar died a little bit too suddenly. But anyway, it tanked some of them. It also grabbed the meeting stone, and once the meeting stone has been grabbed, alright, that means that I can summon abominations from that meeting stone. So the idea here is to time the Quilboar so that you will get the meeting stone, there won't be other minis coming, so that you can use that meeting stone to get an abomination as close to Lady Vespira as possible. And you can see the strength of the abominations here with the way they handle that ogre mage. No other tank mini does quite that same thing. Abomination with the hook and with the area of effect damage hit, it's just phenomenal here. And well, now Lady Vespira surrounded by armored abominations, and boom, it's down. It's just down. That was fun, so let's do that again with Horde. Again, my second attempt. Again, somehow I managed to let Gargoyle into my base on the first attempt. Well, yeah, it just sometimes happens. Anyway, now we're getting ready. We have Abomination reasonably early, so we get the Shaman, we get the Abomination, we give the Abomination armored. Now there is a Stonehoof Tauren coming from the right, and there's also then going to be a Gargoyle coming from the right. And now I need something that I will be able to handle those, because the Tauren is unfortunately going to charge into my Pyromancer potentially. Now I need to dedicate quite a bit of resources to defend that, because I needed to get rid of the Tauren, and then I can use the Pyromancer, and now I also have Safe Pilot also shooting at the Gargoyle. And we managed to survive that. Base took quite a bit of damage, but now we're starting to be fine. Defense held, tower has been taken, the Armored Abomination is doing perfectly well. A few Murlocs are coming. I'm wondering what to do about them. I decided to deploy an Abomination there. So now we have a couple of Abominations on the way. Now I just want to make that Abomination armored as well. So we give it a Pocket Healer. There's the Shaman. Now it's an Armored Abomination. Alright, 2 Armored Abominations are on the way there. Life is looking pretty good. And then we just blast a little bit at that Ogre Mage with a Pyromancer. Maybe I positioned the Pyromancer a little bit poorly, so now the Ogre Mage actually is allowed to just keep hitting at the base. That is not good, but then we finally take it down. Alright, now we're talking. We have the Armored Abominations on the way. This time I don't have the Quilboar tanking for them, which I should, so my timings are a little bit off, and this has been a bit of a sloppier turn. But we have a Pyromancer. Pyromancer will take down the Gargoyle, and Pyromancer will return the tower to my control, so it's not too bad. We have more Armored Abominations coming as well, so yeah, things didn't go perfectly, but they should still be good enough, because we have the first Armored Abomination at the boss. I'm mostly fighting for the tower here, but if the Armored Abomination can stand a little while longer, and look at that health pool. 18 Abomination versus 18 boss, and just look at that health pool. It's lasting so incredibly long. Now it finally did die, and now there's an assault coming towards my base. Yeah, this is not looking perfect. Boss is almost dead, my base is almost dead. Who's going to die first? It does look like the boss is going to die first. The power of the armored abominations. A little bit of mistakes with the timing, a little bit of mistakes defending the tower, but overall it's still a win. And let's do it one more time with the abomination team. This time it's Undead. For some reason this was the most difficult one for me. This is my 4th attempt, I think. It could be 5th attempt, actually. Well, anyway, here we go. Now, no abomination in sight again for some time. There's a gargoyle coming, the harpy is coming. How do you even manage that? Abomination stunned the Murloc and tanked the harpies, and that made the Pyromancer survive. And because the Pyromancer survived, then yeah, we're rolling. Now we have an armored Pyromancer though, and not an armored abomination, so just the opening hands comparatively, my opening hand versus the opponent's opening hand, this time they were not great. Had a bit of problems there, but I survived. Okay. Now Abomination has taken a lot more damage because it's not armored. You can see the difference here. This is an unarmored Abomination, and it has taken, well, it has taken roughly twice the damage because all the damage that it has taken so far has been physical. Yes, pretty much so. But now we set up an armored Abomination as well. What I would want to set up here would be... That's a mistake, now they're going to just die to the splash damage. What I want to set up here would be a Quilboar, but I don't have Quilboar available yet. I would really need to play a mini quickly and then get the Quilboar going. Nah, that wasn't too great either though. Should have probably taken the stone with the Quilboar, because I'm about to lose the other stone and I'm just a tiny bit too slow there too. The Quilboar might have been okay if I was just faster with the Abomination, and then I would have been able to use the Abomination from the other stone. Because that's really how I want to do this. I want the Quilboar to tank hits first, and then I want to position an Abomination as far as possible using the stone, so then the Abomination doesn't have as long of a way to go towards the boss. But now pretty much everything failed here, and Abomination... No, that's not where I want to position the Quilboar, not really. Yep, that Quilboar now was not in the right place. I'm trying to send a Kobold Miner to potentially mine a little bit over there. We do manage to get an Abomination into close range, but it's quite weak Abomination by now, and also that Gargoyle is taking a lot of attention. And I would need gold. I desperately need some gold. I need to get an Abomination out there, but it looks like I'm too slow. Once the melee Abomination dies, the lightning strikes are going to return. And then this is a situation where you sometimes run into here, that the Abomination tries to close in the distance, but there's new minis being summoned constantly, so the Abomination stays and fights instead, and then that means that the Abomination is just going to be hit by lightning all the time instead of actually getting its job done. So yeah, this is not going super well at all, but I still have the plan. I know what I'm doing. I want to get those armored Abominations out there. I want to help them succeed. I want to get the meeting stone. Let's see. It's already overtime, but now I managed to get a shaman out there. It's going to make the Abomination armored. Abomination with the stun just in time there, a splendid talent. I'm not sure if this would also work with the poison talent. It probably would, because it's possible to do even without talents, but stun talent I really is the best. Now, in overtime, I managed to land the first Abomination in the right spot. So yeah, I know that took me a while. But now we have an Abomination in the right place, and now I'm just piling on. Just minis coming. Abomination is healthy, Abomination is tanking, everything else can come in now. There's no lightning, there's no chain attacks, just at close range cleave, and Phew, it does go down. So sometimes you struggle a little, but it still works. I promised a no talents clear as well, and here we go. I actually forgot to disable the talent on the Banshee, but as you will see, it does not matter in this particular instance because I'm stealing full health minis all the time. Like there, that's a full health gargoyle. Doesn't matter that it gets healed to full, it was already full. Anyway, so now we have no talents. That save pilot is coming so slow and deals so little damage. And we have Molten Giants instead of Abominations. Molten Giant is the second biggest individual mini in this game, and it is already armored, so it does quite alright up until it gets to the stairs. However, it doesn't have the hook, and it doesn't have an AoE damage dealing method, so it definitely has some major weaknesses compared to Abomination. But with no talents, I think it's still probably the best tank. I actually did do this once also without talents with Footman as my tank. Yeah, that can sort of be done, but it's not great. Here we're stealing another mini that was already full health, as you see, so didn't matter that I had the talent accidentally equipped still. Alright, here we go. We're just stealing some ogre mages, stealing some gargoyles, and trying to get some of those Molten Giants up there. Again, we need to get Molten Giant up close and personal and hit at Vespira, because once Vespira starts hitting at Molten Giant, well, Molten Giant is armored, Molten Giant can tank Vespira for quite some time if I could get a healthy Molten Giant right next to Vespira, because obviously the lightning damage is still significant. But without talents, everything deals a little bit less damage. We're a little bit underleveled here. We're running a team of 17s, basically. And, yeah. Okay, there that ogre had actually taken one hit. So that was the benefit of the talent. But then it died without, without doing anything anyway, so... actually didn't end up mattering. Here we get a Molten Giant out here. If this was an Abomination, then when it would be out of the stun, all of those Murlocs would just die, because Abomination would just kill them, it would pull their Shaman close, and Shaman would just die, so... Yeah, Abomination has so many advantages over Molten Giant here, but without getting armored to the Abomination, it does not have enough health. That could vary if you have minis that are significantly higher level. Like, if you have some tank mini that is very, very high level compared to this, then you might be able to try with it. Although, I suppose Abomination and Molten Giant are only the really, really big ones, and then I did do this once with Footmen. But Footmen, then you need to really get it so that they are not going to fight much against Ogre Mages, because that's going to be difficult. But Footmen is another alternative, if you happen to have high level Footmen available. Of course, with Alliance you could even do Tyrion together with those Footmen. With Horde you can put Footmen in the squad slot, so there are a couple of alternatives depending on what you have leveled, but Abomination is by far the easiest, because it just makes it so easy. Alright, now we're getting that Quilboar where we want the Quilboar. Maybe a little early, I probably should have waited a little bit longer. Now I'm trying to cycle a little so that I can get Molten Giant out there, but I'm a little bit too slow with that and I lose the miner. That was not good. Then we try to get a Quilboar out there, but Quilboar actually fails to tank anything, and then I also miss with the safe pilot. Yup. As an upside, I did finally get a Molten Giant up close and personal. I now have Molten Giants tanking Lady Vespira. And if I can keep a Molten Giant in contact with Lady Vespira, we are going to win this. So, should have positioned some more minis on both sides so that they wouldn't die so easily with Chain Lightning. That was my bad. And here I'm panicking a little, and probably was not necessary. Maybe that miner was still fine, but this Quilboar was a mistake. I should have just put everything up and attack, and this was another mistake, but hey, yeah, I was just making it more exciting, you know. And that's a victory. So Banshee, Molten Giant, even without talents, it can also work. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.